The stain of the crop of a warrior lies in all. It has been showcased multiple times throughout history and in fiction that there is multiple capabilities to be glorious. And in the lands between, it is like no other. With Godfrey the first Elden Lord, acts of Queen Medica, the mightiest warrior the lands between has ever known. Godwin the Golden, renowned Empyrean, and the legendary General of Caelid, StarScourge Radahn was one of those. Glorious, stupendous in power, impetuous in purpose, the mightiest of the demigods, and a man that still has a roar that reaches throughout all the lands between within the Caelid wilds. Cursed forever to wander by Millennia's sick scarlet rot. He had a might to even sting terror and renownedness and all, even like the tarnished, for being the conqueror of the stars, a behemoth, a fierce warrior, a man with so much pride he controlled the constellation of the stars. In today's video, as a remake of my StarScourge Radahn video that I made 3 years ago now, I wanted to go ahead and show my love for Radahn again with better case of knowledge, better case of talking, better case of matter of understanding of the realms between, or the lands between, as I heard two different sayings of it. I'm your host, King. I hope you guys will enjoy. Let's go ahead and get into it after this banger intro. StarScourge Radahn, the mightiest of the demigods, is a demigod, obviously, and in case y'all don't know what that means half god, half mortal. But in the case of us being demigod, not demigoddess, that makes StarScourge Radahn obviously half man god and half mortal for woman. His mother is Rennala, Queen of the Full Moon, aka Queen of the Caravan Royals. Sir Gideon.
The Academy of Rhea Lucaria lies to Limgrave's north, towering over the mist-laden lands of Liurnia. Rennala is Queen of the Carian Royals, who govern the Academy, but Rennala herself is no demigod. Her beloved Radahn left her to become Queen Marika's second husband, taking the title of King Consort. The Great Rune dwells within the amber egg that was Radagon's gift to her.
She's not a goddess like I said, but she's a very powerful and cracked out sorceress who has multiple capabilities and magics that make her a dynamic and force to be reckoned with. And this was shown all the way back in the case of the war between the Carian Royals and the Golden Order, with Radagon, aka Queen Marika, as them being opposites in some form of being damn near the exact same in the case of matter of it being fighting each other within the case of the opposite ideals, in the case of matter for the lands between in different forms. But eventually it came down to the means of wanting to have peace and a peace treaty with Radagon, finding some case of matter of love and likeness for Rennala, as Rennala is kind of bad though, and so he piqued her. And so eventually from the case of matter of their marriage over at the church Turtle, where different matter of different invitations and talks to the Lord can be had, they was married. And the first of their children was the man himself, StarScourge Radahn, from some different accounts. Second child, Rykard, the king of blasphemy, and Rani, later on to be queen of the lands between, depending on your ending, or just simply the Blue Witch herself. StarScourge Radahn was a very talented boy and had a bunch of different capabilities of both of his parents shined out in the most stupendous and inanimate ways possible. StarScourge Radahn has so much love for Godfrey for all the stories being passed down. The fact that Godfrey has been accounted to be the mightiest warrior the lands between has ever known, and being the first tarnished to sit on the throne of Elden Lord. StarScourge Radahn, because of obviously being the son of a great sorceress and being damn near royalty from the greater half in the case of matter of the Carian Royals, will learn a great deal of magic and sorcery, and Mainline did this for his lovely steed, Leonard, a tiny, fragile horse, but would be big enough in comparison to the case of a great deal of characters. But because of the fact that StarScourge Radahn, because of being a demigod, will grow immensely large and go to the point where I think you see in the game, this motherfucker is in between a low end 25 feet like King Kong 2005 to 50 feet tall. He's ridiculously large. He's a behemoth. This man will learn gravity magic later on, will take in the case of a great deal of his teachings because of him being too big, and most likely some different events that correspond with the downfall for a great deal of the characters, over to Caelid and learn gravity magic in the greatest form to go ahead and make sure he doesn't crush his horse Leonard, as he loved his horse so much and he confided in him in his most likely darkest moments. He did at the same time train a great deal of arts and capabilities, with learning in the case of a golden lion armor and his famed red lion hair that his father Radahn was disgusted by, but Radahn favored the most. Radahn learned the case of the art of twin dice sword tricking, which is a technique used by someone like Sundowner from Metal Gear Rising Revengeance, mixed at the same time Chinese warriors in multiple forms, as he has curved, sleek case StarScourge blades, going from the case of his mainline blades to the case of his rocky form blades. He used these in multiple different forms in the matter of StarScourge Blitzen, multi-form of gravity magic and sorcery beyond comprehension, and making them be very inanimate and dynamic forms of power. The greater echelon of his capabilities from learning gravity magic also helped him to go ahead and obviously do levitation, telekinesis, regarding the fact that this man is already a very powerful, brutacious warrior in his greater arts. This man will be a force to be reckoned with, and it's a greater show with his most likely genetical capability as a demigod or electrical telekinesis, being able to do multiple different things with electricity and puff different blisters of magic in multiple different forms. So, StarScourge Radahn will later on, within the case of the forging of this armor, repping the same might as Godfrey, first Elden Lord, aka Horlu Warrior! This man, StarScourge Radahn, will later on push, after training and after mastering gravity magic and all these different forms, would thank his master and quote, "I thank you for your tutelage. For now, I can challenge the stars." And he would go ahead and push into the sky and take out the stars. And he would conquer them, literally, being able to crush them, best them, and full-fledged show that he is truly the conqueror of the stars. What this means isn't just the fact that with gravity magic and different case of matter of different crack capabilities of telekinesis, being able to control them and revert them. No, he literally, by the case of this medallion and multi different accounts, truly conquered them by depleting them of their energy substance and controlled them with his figure of his body. With a flick of a wrist, he could channel the stars' power to his own, move them, use them as attacks, and shown considerably in a half sense of his move set, and most importantly, with being the conqueror of the stars, he did crush them, and as you see within the case of the end of his boss fight, he controlled multi different case of stars that he could use at a whim, that he hold back over thousands, hundred thousands, millions to billions, even trillions, all from the cosmos of the lands between. And within the matter of crushing them, this would obviously be a great feat for him, as he obviously crushing stars and be able to control stars on this magnitude and being considered to be the mightiest of the demigods physically, and different credit of obviously skill and having just multi different capabilities of power within this would make him a very powerful foe. And he has been renowned on being a guy that you do not mess with, and having a nuke in his back pocket that will lead to Nokron, depending on your ending, going about that with Ronnie. Now, the thing is, with StarScourge Radahn, his greater echelon of stuff within these feats lies all in the matter of his pride, as he did this to showcase a great deal of powerhouseness, but also at the same time to do great things for Caelid. He will be accounted as the general of Caelid, just from the matter of his might and lead Caelid and the wonderful things. And as Caelid before it got AIDS was a renowned, beautiful, and profound land by all different accounts of different some concept art that I don't even know if it's actually from the devs or just from people. But regardless, StarScourge Radahn will move in within the mix of the Shattering War for a mission to go ahead and either prove himself to his father as being worthy of the Elden throne, or just purely off of pride. As being a behemoth and multi-case skill with his armor and very tall stature, he would have a meeting with the case of matter of the council of the demigods and people when the lands between was in this prime. He would go for and have this meeting under the matter of discussion at different points, and most likely did not go in the favor of God won the golden, as Morgoth called everyone that sat at the thrones willful traitors. Every last one of these demigods and people will move on to their own means. But something in between this would have someone like StarScourge Radahn wanting to run the fade with Morgoth. So with his red main soldiers, all 30 up, he ran up on the Altus Plateau and had a war against Morgoth. But because this was a young Radahn filled with pride and arrogance, he did not win in this victory. Now Radahn has showcased multiple times not to be a morally dubious or out-of-pocket person, but he was a very prideful man. His pride arguably got the best of him when it came down to the ending thing. But I would say for the most part, morally and who he is as a character, StarScourge Radahn is not an evil person. Especially because he learned gravity magic for his horse, shown multiplication amount of valor, vigor, love to his little brother and sister, Rykard and Ranni. And for the most part, they have nothing to say but good about him, especially because someone like Rykard had a mural painting of his older brother, and Ranni did what she did for the matter of Radahn being a mercy killing, as Radahn is corrupted with stage 69 brain cancer, as you see later on in the Caelid Wilds. We're going to get to that, but I just want to make that clear, as obviously Radahn has things about him that are flaws as a man, but I would not put him as being bad, especially because some different talks I've had about him is just very like intellectually dishonest, and most importantly just blasphemy, no pun intended, as we talk about Rykard. But it's because he has bodies in his castle or different shit going on for his remain soldiers to have nothing to do with him. That's not consistent, and that stuff probably was in there in the mix of him being down, especially because those bodies either can be from dead soldiers, opposition, war on different frontier. And it's also like, what does that have to do with anything of a greater case? Like we could say the same thing about Morgoth with countless slayed in Lindell. That most likely has nothing to do with him, and even then it's like doesn't revelate any bad about him by default, because having bodies in your camp don't equal bad. It's kind of weird, but like I don't know what you want to stamp Radahn as. I mean, him being a cannibal on his own niggas in opposition, yeah, that's disgusting. That's destructive mentally and physically for your body. He has fucking brown teeth most likely, but it's like I don't know what to say. Like, new credit of like Wildsea, I guess, but still, either way though, when it comes down to StarScourge Radahn becoming the greater form behemoth that we see him as, this would be within the mix of the greater shattering of all the case that lands between, from the matter of the death of Godwyn, war coming out for all these different people, and this eventually would have Melania somehow within her mind thinking that StarScourge Radahn as being one of the mightiest demigods, it would be the mightiest of the demigods, as a lot of people renownedly have Radahn as the top dog. Melania thought he could be a threat to Miquella, so she gathered all her people at the Hallowed Tree, left her case of king slash brother Miquella and Imperium the Golden like shit at the case of her tree, left him in the tree, which eventually Moog would seize opportunity to go and kidnap him and make him the case of his bride like shit on some Eddie Gluskin shit, took him in the mix of the night of this woman Melania riding out to go after Radahn. And so within the mix of marching down territory, she marched through Stormvale, having a little scuffle with Godric, as Godric thought he could take her on from her, I guess, being quote unquote puny, but she beat the dog shit out of him, and this man was forever afraid of her and cowered and begged for mercy. She left his man to squander, and so she pushed on to the Caelid Wilds and pretty much had an offensive war reign of terror and fear throughout Caelid, killing multi-case of Radahn's red main soldiers to make a point that you do not fuck with my brother. But Radahn consistently has never shown interest in Miquella, and most likely only saw him once at the meeting of the demigods over in Lindell years ago. So this war pretty much was just her marching through his territory, and Radahn and his red main soldiers had a war like no other. Radahn would take blows from this but barely even felt anything, as you see he has multi spears and poles in his back. And so within the trailer, as you see, Radahn made it clear to Melania without speaking that he does not want this, as this is his half sister and Radahn is a cool dude. Radahn made it clear to her that he did not want this, but Melania, within the mix of putting her prosthetic arm on, was like, run it up. They had a fight, they locked horns, and in this fight, after Radahn clacked off her right arm, she stabbed herself within the mix of him. Radahn looked at her, what the fuck are you doing? And then she whispered something in his ear. My headcanon is saying something of sorry, or this is what I have to do. and she lets out the blossoming curse of the Scarlet Rot, as she has a goddess of rot inside her that is from the fact of her parents being the same thing, considerable incest and a cursing on her spirit and body. Also lining with someone like Miquella, who is an eternal youth. He's not actually a child, but he has the body of a child, and she has Scarlet Rot pouring through her veins. And so, from nuking Radahn, giving him stage 60 brain cancer and hurting him physically and mentally and even spiritually, nuke the rest of Caelid and make Caelid hell. She'd be knocked out from this and be carried by her knight all the way back to the Helix Tree. Give that motherfucker a raise, he or she, I forgot the motherfucking name. And then you got Radahn over here.
Before we begin, allow me to paint you the full picture. General Radahn is cursed ever to wander. Eaten from the inside by Malenia's scarlet rot, his wits are long gone.
Cool outfit. Beast.
Now he gathers the corpses of former friends and foes alike, gorging on them like a dog.
You got the Kotal Khan like hair. Is that his actual hair though? That man is gonna be tough.
Howling at the sky.
But now, we must make merry.
Oh, me to beast like this.
Of champions, the revels begin. The celebration of war. The Radahn Festival!
Killed by the Tarnished for the means of mercy killing, or for better means for the case of exploration mixed with calling of Rani.
Champions, welcome.
I've seen that do before too, video about parents.
The festival is nigh. General Radahn, mightiest demigod of the Shattering, awaits you. Champions, prepare for battle. Defeat the general, claim glory, and grab that great rune. A celebration of war. The Radahn Festival!
Regardless, that is the history of StarScourge Radahn, the king of the battlefield's lions, a ferocious warrior, in the words of Sir Gideon. Now, I love this character, but at first hand with fighting him, this man was terrifying. This motherfucker's beating my ass on a pony. Fuck this nigga, man. But, you know, it is what it is. But no true hate in the grand slam.
Nah, this
StarScourge Radahn, when it comes down to power scaling, though, is a whole different story. StarScourge Radahn, when it comes on the power scene, like I said before, is a very interesting character. And at the same time, with the case of his history, showcases a great deal of this when it comes down to feats and other stuff. And obviously, I want to go and show respect to his lore, and I'm going to show respect to him power scaling. But with all that being said, let's go ahead and talk about the king of the battlefield's lion, which is actually the original case term to saying with him. But the Red Fame lion has been accounted to be the mightiest of the demigods multiple times physically, and showcasing in prowess and skill, making him scale way over them, scale over his Red Mane army, which was able to go and survive and be vigorous and stable with the case of the Scarlet Rot, even after the Shattering, and multiple times has showcased within his feats or countings as being someone not to be trifled with. And the only demigod to build a skeletal sense to his might is Malenia, Blade of Miquella, aka the Severed. With the case of him shattering the stars, multi-case of cracked out feats telekinesis and magic, and being able to control different constellations and the overdrive of stars, and multiple counter different capabilities, and be a very ferocious and anatomic character. Like I said before, this man would easily scale in the multi-solar system level of attack potency at the highest end, but I feel like it's very reasonable. The truest highest end, you could maybe try to go in wage, even though it's not very strong and it never was shown the consistent wage. And this is mainly going about the fact of trying to say that because stars plume on a vastly hyper scale, that he should be able to be tied to it, but multi-source system is reasonable for his prime. With his speed, being able to scale to stars, and being able to stand on a hyperversal case of matter of stand, he would scale massively faster than light on a ridiculous scuff, and being in the case of scaling to stars, which move light years away from us in a general sense, and he's just able to scale to this shit willy-nilly with no care, would easily put him there. And I would say he would be like ridiculously high end, massively faster than light, easily catching to like trillions depending how you see it. But when it comes down to Cursed Radahn, aka Sick Radahn, with stage 69 brain cancer, he would scale his lowest end in the matter of usage, multi-dwarf star level, to massively hypersonic, to relativistic, to even faster than light, depending on how you see in his usage. But prime, his best version, easily is multi-solar system to massively faster than light, not even a debate. When it comes down to capabilities and a bunch of the regiment that go with this, besides just scaling to millennia and taking a country size to large country level matter of nuke from millennia with the Scarlet Rot blossoming and destroying Caelid from the inside out, this man was able to scale the Morgoth when he was younger, survive a battle with him, has fought multiple different case of matter battles, collisions, hold his own against Millennia's army during the Shattering, is a mighty warrior, is the arguably next to Millennia the most skilled demigod within the entire demigod hierarchy within the Elden Ring pantheon, and is just all around a beast and a dope ass character. And that's pretty much it for Radahn on the grand scope of his capabilities and stuff. I can't wait to talk about him and other stuff with this being said on a greater scuff. I'm going to get to that stuff eventually, but again, I hope you guys have enjoyed. I'm going to see you guys in the next one. Peace out, mommy. Love y'all.